We start, of course, with the latest from the Zondo Commission of Inquiry into state capture and the continued testimony from former Bosasa Chief Operating Officer Angelo Agrizzi. He told the Commission today how the company allegedly paid for ANC rallies and at one point a birthday cake. And then, this afternoon, he started to name names. He said current Environmental Affairs Minister Nomvula Mokonyane had received an amount of 50,000 rand a month for several years. Let's look at some of the main points of Agrizzi's testimony today.
There were numerous rallies. There was rallies where we'd have to cater up to 50,000 people.
For whom?
For the ruling party, Chair. We'd get ridiculous requests in the middle of the night saying that we needed to sort out birthday party cakes, cater for supporters, 10,000 at a time, so we'd have to just do it.
Do you have any experience in cake design?
When I was 14 years old working in a bakery.
So did you design this one?
Yes, Chair.
Yes. And what year was this one, if you are able to tell us?
I can't remember when it was, Chair. It was on the Zuma's 72nd birthday.
You say in your statement that a list of items was provided on the instruction of Gavin Watson. Would you just place those on record, please?
The list of items, which was the same more or less every year, might have changed a little bit here and there, but it was 120 cases of cold drinks, 4 cases of high-quality whiskey, 40 cases of beer, 8 lambs, cut up, obviously, 12 cases of frozen chicken, 200 kilograms of beef in various braai packs, and then numerous cases of premium brandy and some specialty alcohol. I would get a list, as a matter of fact. PA would phone me with that.
Well, we'll come to that in a moment. Where did you get the products from and how were they accounted for?
Well, because at that stage I didn't think anything was wrong. Everything went through the books as normal, as if we were using it for something else.
Well, we all know that the commissioner appointed at that time was Mr. Tom Mayani, so we can't ask you more about corroborative information. You say that it was increased to 750,000 rand per month when the new commissioner was appointed.
That is correct.
That is the new commissioner of the Department of Correctional Services.
That is correct.
And that commissioner was Mr. Tom Mayani.
That is correct.
How did you learn that?
Well, it was told to me by Siopela. So I would have to increase the amount that was packed.
And did you believe this?
His evidence, as I said earlier, Chair, was always very credible. I never needed to check up. I did check up in the initial stages, and now and again I would do a check. But his evidence and whatever he told me, it was always very accurate. Does that answer?
Sorry, I answered the question on your behalf, Chair. Perhaps I should.
All of that testimony coming at the Zondo Commission today. You can go to sabcnews.com and watch it again if you've missed part of it today. Well, part of our team today from SABC News in those hearings in Parktown, Johannesburg, Mzwandile Mbeje, senior reporter at the SABC. Mzwandile, good evening to you. I mean, this is important testimony from the sounds of it. The figure of Nomvula Mokonyane, the Minister of Environmental Affairs, it seems she wasn't just receiving money, she was asking for a whole series of favors from Bosasa.
Absolutely, Stephen. I mean, it loomed quite large, the figure of the Minister of Environmental Affairs. I mean, Mr. Agrizzi basically said, so they were paying the minister 50,000 rand every month. So basically to kind of like make sure they're doing that for protection. Remember, Steve, earlier he had said he had actually told Mr. Watson, the CEO of Bosasa, to say, I mean, he was tired of paying this money to Ms. Mokonyane because there were no returns. But I think after lunch, then he came back to say, actually, she was very useful because they even had nicknamed her Energizer Bunny. So because she was there for their protection, if there was an issue with the NPA, so they knew who they could speak to. And of course, even her child, I mean, when she came back from China, so they then rented the car for her. I mean, Mr. Agrizzi was complaining, Stephen, saying, you know, so she was driving so badly that the car always got involved in accidents. At some point, he called her to say, do you want driving lessons, because this can't go on. So this is part of really the evidence that was led today here by Mr. Agrizzi.
At the same time, there's sort of commentary, if you like, or claims by Angelo Agrizzi about money being given to the ANC for various things. And then, of course, there's the story of the ANC's birthday cake.
Absolutely. I mean, you heard when even the judge asked, say, I mean, so were you the one really designing the cake, the 72nd birthday for former President Jacob Zuma? I mean, saying, yes, he was responsible. He was the one who was actually designing that cake. So which means those party celebrations, those people who came to enjoy that moment, so that money was paid by Bosasa. And as we know, Bosasa, all that they were doing was by and large really illegal activities. So it really raises a lot of questions about, I mean, this company, Steve. I think going forward, the prosecutors will really have their hands full, because given what has been said, and that is still being said here today, so it raises a number of questions.
There's also the figure coming through later this afternoon of the ANC Member of Parliament, Vincent Smith, a very prominent Member of Parliament, of course. He chaired Parliament's Review Committee on Land, looking at the Constitution and land expropriation without compensation. What evidence is now being led there? Was he receiving money directly from Bosasa?
That's what Mr. Agrizzi is saying. He's saying initially Mr. Smith was quite negative towards Bosasa until a meeting was arranged where they met at Rivonia, and then at that meeting he was with two other members of parliament, so it was agreed that he was going to be paid 45,000 a month. But in 2016, Steve, that money went up apparently at the request of Mr. Smith, saying so he needed at least 100,000. So I mean, Mr. Agrizzi has been saying, so that money was still being paid. But not only that, even the loan, the funds paid into the studies of his child. And then Mr. Smith at some point did address that question, saying, so he had a loan with Bosasa. But Mr. Agrizzi made it clear, Steve, here today to say, so there was no loan. In fact, he couldn't possibly loan Mr. Smith because he didn't even know him that well. So, and he was even going as far as to say, I mean, if there is a loan, so how can you then give someone a loan in cash? So he basically disputed all of that. And I think the ANC really will have to deal with these issues because as much as they are saying it has nothing to do with them in terms of them being on trial, but it's their figures really that are being mentioned. And in this instance, very prominent figures like Nomvula, Mokonyane, and of course, Vincent Smith.
Mzwandile Mbeje, thank you very much indeed tonight. Part of our team covering that in Parktown in Gauteng. There'll be more to come tomorrow, we understand.